It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Good Monday morning. Welcome in, everybody. College football goes topsy-turvy over the weekend. Several records set in the National Football League. Grizz win again. They're now 7-3. And Tigers Hoops starts tonight in Nashville. The Tigers, 2.5-point favorites, by the way, over Vanderbilt in aging Memorial Gymnasium. Memphis football used the same sort of formula to cause heartbreak, kind of. You know, it's just amazing to me when you look at this team, and they're competitive. They're good enough to hang around. They just don't seem to be good enough to win the games against the teams that are flirting with the top 25. In the case of UCF, they are 25 in the country. In fact, they moved up this week to 22. They get in position, and then somehow, some way, they cannot make the big play, whether it's offensively or defensively. You go back, East Carolina in the second overtime has a guy in the flat. It's the running back on the cornerback, Savante Oliver, makes the tackle, game's over. Doesn't, game goes to more overtimes and Memphis loses. In the game against UCF on Saturday, the Tigers play the end game pretty well, using their timeouts, kicking when they had to. I know there's going to be some people that think on 4th down and 16 at the UCF 39 in the third quarter in a 21-21 game, you could have or should have kicked the ball. They did not. In my mind, here's another play that they didn't make. This comes after a targeting call. I got to be honest with you, you don't get breaks either. I don't remember the last time I have seen an offensive target on a downfield block, basically pretty close to where the tackle box is, right? It's crazy. But they make that call. They decide on the 4th and 16 to go for it. And frankly, Seth Hennigan, who's, obviously best offensive player Memphis has, he misses a wide open Eddie Lewis. They make that play. That might be a touchdown. Certainly, they're within field goal range, and everything changes. Honestly, it should have been 1st and 10 at the 21, if not for the targeting call on John Hassel, which I still don't quite get. Anyway, then it comes down to where you play the end game pretty good. You got 3 minutes and 3 timeouts left, and they're used judiciously. And here's the 3rd down and 9 for UCF. And they throw a little quarterback flare pass, not really even a screen, but just a little flare pass in the flat. Kid makes the catch. There's 2 or 3 Tigers over there, and they don't make the play. They don't make the play. The kid somersaults right at the sticks to get the 1st down. Now you're down to 1 timeout. Game's over. Just don't make the plays. You can call that not finishing, not playing 4 quarters. I don't think that's the case here. In this particular game, you didn't make a couple of plays that would have won you or at least gotten you into a position to tie the game. And they just, for whatever reason, don't make those plays. This isn't on special teams. If you want to, you can go back to the 4th down and 16 decision. I didn't think it was crazy then. I do know that one of your better players is the punter. The punters had 13, well, maybe more now. Going into that game, he had 13 50-yard-plus punts. He's only had 8 inside the 20, but they haven't used him as that weapon. The guy can get it inside the 20. You could have angled that pass, that punt, tried to get it inside the 10, inside the 5. That would have worked. That they chose to go for it. And he said, going into the game, he lived up to his word. See, I always like the people that say what they're going to do. Because I remember early in life I got this work ethic mode, which was plan your work, then work your plan. Too many times I see coaches plan the work and then don't have the courage of their own conviction to work the plan. Now, that was not the case with Silverfield because he told us going into the game, Their whole thing was they were going to be aggressive. 4th and 16 from their 39 is pretty aggressive. And honestly, the play could have been made, but it wasn't. And then when you do play the strategy correct at the end, you don't make the plays. If your defense doesn't make the plays, you lose the football game. And that is exactly what happened. So this was a crazy weekend for area teams. I know there's some heartbroken Volunteers. Georgia was just unbelievable. Their defense was just unbelievable. This was a crazy weekend. 9 top 25 teams went down, including number 1 Tennessee, number 4 Clemson, and they didn't just go down. Their ship had a bigger hole in it than the Titanic. I mean, and that's a Notre Dame team that I don't exactly think is incredible.
Far from it.
Number 6 Alabama goes down, and they were beaten by LSU. They were absolutely physically beaten by LSU. Watch the second half of that game. And 13 K-State, which had been a team hot as could be, lost to another top 25 team in Texas, and that might save Texas's year right there. But, so it's crazy. 2 unbeatens gone. And the new poll has Georgia won. This is not the college football playoff poll, but it is the AP poll. Georgia won. They should be. Ohio State, which struggled with Northwestern. I'll be interested in seeing where the playoff committee puts them. They are number 2. Michigan's number 3. TCU still rolling, undefeated, number 4. Then you have Tennessee, which slips to 5, and I don't think they'll stay in the college football playoff top 4. I think there's got to have to be some movement.
The 4 undefeateds.
Yeah, I would think. Then you have Oregon 6, and Oregon's only loss, right, was that first loss early in the year.
To Georgia, which clearly seems to be the best team in the country. And then surprising LSU and Brian Kelly, their only loss was that early loss to Florida State. Getting Alabama and Ole Miss now out of the way. I mean, they should win the West, but they would be. Oh wait, they got a second loss. What am I talking about? Mississippi. Mississippi State, right?
No, they beat Mississippi State. They came from 13-0 down, but they lost to Florida State and to Tennessee, right? So this could really sock them and rock them if they go, and they should. If they go, because they got the tiebreak on both Ole Miss and on Alabama.
They'll go to the championship.
If they go to the championship game and say beat Georgia,
they're in.
And
then Georgia's in.
Well, are they? If they beat Georgia, maybe. I don't know, but
it makes it tougher for Oregon.
But Georgia, but Alabama's got 2-loss team. But now there's no, like, I think you'd have to take the champion of the SEC. We talked about this with Stats Norsworthy. We'll do it again on Wednesday. But 2-loss teams. If there are champions that have 1 loss, what do you do? How do you take a 2-loss team over a 1-loss championship team?
Well, it would hurt Oregon if Georgia loses to LSU, because their whole argument, I suppose, is that our only losses to this Georgia team that's this juggernaut we should be in.
Right.
But then you have a 1-loss, either Ohio State or Michigan, who lost to each other. It is topsy-turvy. I mean, maybe are we talking about parity in college football for the first time in a few years?
It is. And then, the strangest thing, we're going to talk to John Thompson about this all in about 10, 12 minutes. How about Liberty knocking off Arkansas? What is the future of Hugh Freeze? It seems to me the future of Hugh Freeze could end up in Auburn, Alabama. Now, he's going to walk away from a guaranteed $40 million because he probably will get that at least guaranteed. People have said that he's got a buyout that's $20 million. I don't believe it. I believe it may be if he were to walk away for other programs, but I'll bet you in his contract there are certain teams, SEC teams, for example, that he would be allowed the freedom to go without having to pay a buyout. Wait and see on all of that. That was a pretty big win. I guess he was slightly gloating when he said something about, well, I've coached in the SEC before, after he beat the Hogs. That was a tough one. Hey, by the way, 2 teams from the American in the top 25, 16 Tulane, 22 UCF. You see who's 25th this week?
Who?
Mike Norvell has saved his job, beating Miami. I believe they're 6-3 now, and that put them in the top 25. I don't believe there's any trouble anymore in Tallahassee for one Mike Norvell.
There was a video of him circulating on the internet, too, of him coaching up one of his guys, coaching him up hard, not like grabbing or anything, just getting in his face. And all of the former Tiger players that played for Norvell came to his end saying, this is why this guy's a great football coach. He's passionate. He cares about the culture. He cares about his players. It was kind of cool to see amidst a 45-3 beatdown of Miami.
Oh, my gosh. Could you believe that?
Unbelievable. And Miami had so much hype around him, by me, too, before the season, to be honest.
So which is more shocking? The Miami beat down by Florida State or the way Clemson fell to Notre Dame?
At this point, it's got to be Clemson because Miami, we've seen it coming. They're losing to Middle Tennessee State. They played some stinkers of games at this point. Notre Dame beating Clemson is truly shocking. As bad as Notre Dame has been, even though DJ Uiagalelei has not been up to par for the 5-star quarterback, all the hype around him and whatever, still didn't expect them to lose to Notre Dame.
I actually thought, the other kid only threw one pass. I thought they would have made a change quicker, considering he had played so well, in the game before.
That's right.
But
I have to think about this week going into Louisville. Or it's at home, but against Louisville, I mean.
And Louisville's in the mix.
They're playing really well.
Yeah. One firing over the weekend, and you can't blame South Florida going in a different direction. They fired Jeff Scott 3 years in. Do you know how many wins against FBS teams Jeff Scott's Bulls had?
How many?
1 and 26 against FBS teams. So he is the first American Athletic Conference coach to be fired this year. We're sitting in the Family Leisure Studios. Please remember, you got a couple of more weeks. I don't know how much longer it'll last because there'll be a Christmas sale. But right now, still a Relax at Home sale with massage chairs and, of course, theater seating, which is really cool. Then they got pool tables and shuffleboards. If you want to have the family come on over, you got something to compete with. I like the air hockey, too. And don't forget saunas, hot tubs, patio furniture, all on sale at the Relax at Home sale going on at Family Leisure I-40 and Whidden Road. You know there is a new financing option for you at Homer Skelton Hyundai, our title and presenting sponsor. And it's pretty simple. If you buy a brand new Hyundai Santa Fe or Tucson or any car, you don't have to pay your first payment for 90 days. That's any new Hyundai, 3 months before you make your first payment. No one's doing that. That's why you got to get to Homer Skelton Hyundai. That is right at the corner of Highway 78, Lamar and Memphis, and the very first exit in Mississippi. That is Craft Road. Homer Skelton Hyundai. What a deal they've got going on there. On Mondays, and I got a bunch of these, we do a thing called Precious Metals. I'm going to give a bronze medal to Joe Mixon. There were several records set in the NBA, and in the NFL, excuse me. And I should point out one, Justin Fields. This is pretty impressive. I didn't give him a medal because they lost, but Justin Fields set a brand new rushing record with 178 yards carrying the ball against your Dolphins, J-Mo. But they lose 35-32. How can I give them a medal? I can't give them a medal. They lost. But that's a new rushing record for quarterbacks in the NFL. The question I have is he going to survive if they keep playing him like that? That's too many. What do you have, 15 rushes?
Yeah, but they're not all designed. I mean, he just starts running around, and they can't bring him down. No one can touch the guy. It's so frustrating to watch if you're cheering for the other team, I'm telling you.
Well, I do think they need to roll him out as much as they're doing and let him freelance like he's doing, because that's it. They got to get their offensive line. They got to get him a couple of targets. I do think he is proven now that he is an NFL quarterback, and maybe he is the future for the Bears. Problem with the Bears is that defense, they give up two of their best defensive players for nothing. Well, for picks, and maybe they'll make offensive linemen out of those picks, I hope. But they certainly put a dent in their defense, and that showed with Tua and the Dolphins yesterday. Now, I give it to Mixon because he had a career for him, but a Cincinnati record. He had 5 touchdowns running the ball in the one game, and they romp over Carolina 42-21. I'm going to give the women's soccer program at the University of Memphis a bronze medal. They are the AAC champs. So Brooks' Monaghan team is going to the NCAA soccer tournament for the 5th straight year. This is why the guy is a legend around here. 5 straight NCAA tournaments for Memphis women's soccer. And the men, by the way, congratulations to them. They upset the number 1 seed Tulsa. They're now in the semifinals for the conference tournament. I'm going to give the silver medal to the University of Georgia. Should be, you could go gold, but it's not done yet. So their defense holds mighty Tennessee to a total of 289 yards. 289 yards. Only 6 points in the first half. Really, for most of the game, 6 points. They sacked Hooker 6 times. They forced 3 turnovers. Val's got a late touchdown with about 4 minutes left in the game. 27-13, and the Georgia Bulldogs take a hold of the Eastern Division. Stetson Bennett, by the way, I give all that credit to the defense, and they should, to do it. This is the same Tennessee team that's killed a bunch of people, including 52 on Alabama, and they get 13 points in this one. Stetson Bennett, though, gets some credit. 2 touchdown passes, 1 rushing. Do you know what his record is as a starter at the University of Georgia?
It has to be unbelievable. What? 1 loss? Any losses? No losses?
There's 3. He's 23-3.
It's unbelievable.
23-3. That is pretty darn good. And then I got to give a silver medal to the Eagles. They are 8-0, still perfect, almost halfway through the season. Now, I don't think they're going to match the 72 Dolphins. I don't think they're going to go undefeated. They still got too many road games in that division, which is so good, including Dallas. So I don't think they're going to run it. That's why they only get a silver. But who would have thought that they would be 8-0 at this point of the year? Nobody. And then I got to give 2 golds. 1 to the Houston Astros, World Series champions, and their bullpen in particular. Their bullpen was .83 ERA in postseason play. In all of postseason play, under 1, .83 ERA. They were untouchable, and the Phils know that because they're still striking out. Greg Gaston might have done better than some of his guys. The Philadelphia Phillies struck out 71 times in this World Series. That is a new Major League Baseball World Series record. 71 strikeouts in the 6-game series.
It's a changing of the guard in baseball, isn't it?
Could be.
Unfortunately.
And then, I don't know how many more I'm going to give to this guy, but I think he deserves it. In the comeback, another comeback for Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. In the comeback, he becomes the first player in NFL history. And you got to sit there and think, is this ever going to get beaten? Because how many guys are going to play quarterback till they're 45 years old? But do you know that yesterday he went over, now this is combined regular season and postseason passing yards. This is unbelievable. You know how many yards?
How many?
100,000.
Oh, I did see that yesterday.
100,000 yards.
Unbelievable. Really an unreal number.
Is that an unbreakable one?
Absolutely. I mean, unless there's like this new age of doctors where every quarterback's playing until they're 45.
Like there are some. I don't think anybody's going to break the 44 game hit streak of DiMaggio. Is it 44? It's 53. Whatever the DiMaggio hit streak is. Just too many night games and
56.
56. Okay.
No.
Nobody's ever breaking that record.
Certainly not.
Nobody's ever going to break Cal Ripken's Ironman because nobody wants that record anymore, right? That's too hard. And this record, 100,000 passing yards? I don't. Who's second? Do they have it on the list? I don't think anybody can ever break that.
Drew Brees, 80,000.
He's 20,000 away and he's retired, so forget him. Wow.
No way.
He's got that record by 20,000, and by the way, it's still getting bigger. All right, what are your medals?
My bronze medal, my first one goes to the Utah Jazz. I don't think anyone would have anticipated they have 8 wins to this point in the season. I know we're only, 11 games into the season. They've been unbelievable. They're going to continue to be unbelievable. That roster is really good all the way down to the bench. It's an unbelievable story.
So you think they're better without Gobert and Mitchell?
I just think they're different. I think this group of guys plays well together. I don't want to say, because Donovan Mitchell's playing as a top 5 player in the league right now. He's been unbelievable. But this team is really well constructed, and I like the way they play basketball.
I think they're a great surprise, no doubt.
And DeJounte Murray also gets a bronze medal for me. He's played 9 games this year. He scored 20 points in 7 of them. He had a triple-double his last game, and the 2 games he didn't score 20, he had 19. He had 30 and 11 and 10 his last game. He's been unbelievable as well. My silver medal, you're going to love these. Silver medal goes to the Chicago Bears. You said you couldn't give the Bears a medal and Justin Fields a medal. I'm giving them both a silver medal because
they lost.
The Bears are a year away. I'm telling you right now, the Bears are playing good football. They got a good quarterback. This team, like you said, just got Chase Claypool. You get a few more weapons. This team's a year away. Also giving a silver medal to the Titans, who also lost yesterday, but they were 12.5-point dogs without their starting quarterback. And Derrick Henry, who gets the ball 30 times a game. He only got 17 yesterday. I was looking at
the best quarterback in the league beat him with his feet.
With his feet, exactly. So but the Titans defense is good. They're respectable.
Oh, they were great.
But Derrick Henry is just a churner of a running back. He's unbelievable. And my gold medal goes to Tua Tagovailoa. He's undefeated as a starter this year. If he would have played those games without a concussion and they kept winning games, he might be an MVP frontrunner right now.
I know they're 3-0 since he came back. He was undefeated when he went out?
When he went out. Because the game he started when he only played the first quarter, they did lose that game. But all the games he's played all the year.
He takes the L on that.
I can't give it to him. I'm going to say he's undefeated.
No, he's not. He gets the L on that one.
But he's been unbelievable, and I think he should be considered for most valuable player.
I'm going to give a combination rust to the Houston Rockets and the Houston Texans. You know how many wins those two teams have at this moment?
2 combined?
2 combined. Mm-hmm. The Rockets are 1-9, the worst record in the NBA, and the Houston Texans are 1-6-1. Poor Houston, except, thank God for the Astros, the World Series champions. Otherwise, that city would be in the doldrums.
And Mattress Mac, a big $75 million win on that.
Isn't that incredible?
It's incredible.
He's got to be ahead in all these bets, doesn't he?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, first of all, he writes them off as marketing anyway.
That's right.
But, 75, what do you get with that after taxes? You walk away with $50 million of that?
Yeah, I don't know.
40 million?
It's so well publicized, there's no way he's escaping the taxes.
No, he's paying the taxes on that one for sure.
My rust goes to the Philadelphia Phillies. You mentioned this stat. I love it. 71 total strikeouts in a World Series, the most ever. Hilarious.
There they go. They just struck out again.
And also, how about this for my personal record book? The one game they won in Houston, the Houston pitcher was tipping his pitches, right? That's what they said?
Right.
So in my personal record book, that's a 4-1 win by the Houston Astros.
That's just like the loss that Tua had. You don't count that one either.
Exactly.
We got to take a break. We're sitting here in the Family Leisure Studios, and I'm reminding you, what's the most refreshing beer out there? I happen to think it's Grind City's Poppy's Pils, the Pilsner that is light and crisp, and yes, very refreshing. Ultra crushable is what my kids like to say. Built for speed, they like to say, and made right here in Memphis. You can get it in 6-packs or 15-packs, and it's in all of your favorite retailers like my friend Eddie Connor in the Spirit Shop. I always say best enjoyed ice cold, even if it's a cool day. You're watching the ball game tonight? Relax, get refreshed. Have a Poppy's Pils, the Pilsner from Grind City Brewery. And this portion of the show is also brought to you by Conway. Conway services heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. And HVAC prices are higher. This is new government regulations that are driving the soaring prices. My friends at Conway, they're here to help you beat that price increase by replacing your old inefficient system with a new energy-efficient heating and cooling system before the prices go up. If you call Conway, 384-3511, here's the deal. They'll give you a free furnace with a brand-new cooling system, and you get a free state-of-the-art Nest thermostat thrown in. Even if you don't need a new HVAC system, you can still call Conway. 384-3511. Get that free furnace. Get up to date. You save money on your MLGW bills when you call 384-3511 Conway Services. Back in a minute to Atlanta we go. Our coach on college football. That is John Thompson, and he is next.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli, with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
You can't always see bad weather coming, so it's essential that you're able to see through it when you drive. Michelin wiper blades with advanced technology hug your windshield like a Michelin tire hugs the road, channeling away water, snow, and ice so you can see clearly, drive confidently, and breathe easy. Michelin wiper performance, clearer than ever. Upgrade to Michelin premium wipers today at Walmart, Amazon, and other fine retailers.
Hi, folks. Good news from the Chevy Sheriff for truck buyers. A Chevy Truck Month at the Sunrise Chevy Ranch. Rebates up to $2,000. Discounts high as $10,000. Bankrupt, slow pay, bad credit. It's okay. Sunrise specializes in secondary financing. Need a good used truck? Remember, Sunrise Chevy specializes in used cars and trucks under $15,000. Chevy trucks cost less at the Sunrise Chevy Ranch, partner. Find new roads to 385 in Houston, Levy, and Collierville. Check out the all-new Sunrise Truck Corral. Huge selection of nothing but trucks. All makes, all models, all prices, all trucks, all the time. Next to Sunrise Wolf Chase.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome back in. I just mentioned where you can get the Poppy's Pills. You can get it at Spirit Shop. That's the place I go to stock up, and I may have to do that here in the next few days, especially for the holidays coming up. You would like to have everything you need, and you can get an education all at the same time if you go to see Eddie Connor at the corner of Poplar and St. Nick. That's right down from Clark Tower, 4848 Poplar to be exact, where you'll walk in there and you'll see everything you want. Rare wines, up-and-coming wines, same thing with bourbons or tequilas, whatever it may be that is your favorite spirit. You want an accessory? Here's one. How about like a rub for a drink that might be unique? He's got it. He's got everything. All the local beers, anything you need that has to do with spirits, you go to Poplar and St. Nick and see my friend Eddie Connor. It's the Spirit Shop, that little log cabin right down from Clark Tower. We head to Atlanta. What a crazy week it is with 9 top 25 teams losing and undefeateds like Tennessee and Clemson. Are they out of the playoff picture now? Let's start with our coach, John Thompson, who was glued to Georgia and Tennessee. And I believe, John, let me I didn't go back. I didn't go into our archives, but you were pretty sure, like for 2 weeks in a row, this was Tennessee's coming out party.
You know, and it's just because I love Memphis. I hear you talking about all the places, Clark Tower and all that. Makes me miss Memphis, and I let my heart override my brain. That's what happened.
And you made all those neighbors of yours in Atlanta upset.
I'm hearing about it. I was hearing about it early Saturday afternoon, for sure, because I stuck to it. I really thought, but you know what? Georgia does what they have to do. I hate the term when it says you play down to your opponent. Obviously, I'm not talking about Tennessee, but they've gotten through some games. but Georgia, they did three things in my opinion. They played great man coverage. Their corners, Georgia's corners, Malik and Ringo played outstanding man coverage. I thought they had a great plan. They blitzed them a lot over half the time, and they bluffed them the other half, and they held Tennessee to 2 out of 14 on third down.
Yeah,
well, they didn't get in. I mean, it just took the passing game out. They got. I mean, you can talk about 6 sacks, but a lot of those sacks, I'm not saying they were coverage sacks, but they were physical sacks. They weren't just coming clean. Georgia's defensive line outplayed Tennessee's offensive line. I didn't think that was going to happen, but Georgia is the bona fide number one best team in the country today. Maybe not tomorrow, but they are today.
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind, and I'm sure the College Football Playoff Committee will have it that way when they reveal. What is that, on Thursday or Wednesday or Thursday?
Tuesday.
It's tomorrow. Okay, so that's good.
You got too many things. You got a lot of things going on. Man.
Yeah.
You got a lot going
well,
on.
I know the new poll is out, and Georgia's number 1, Ohio State 2, Michigan 3, and TCU undefeated is 4. You think that's the way this thing will fall when they release it tomorrow night?
You know, I don't know. I'm thinking it's either going to be TCU or Tennessee. I think Tennessee may still slip in there as the number 4 team, go from 1 to 4. I don't know if TCU can get enough respect. Man, Sonny Dykes has done a great job there, but I just don't think they're going to get enough respect. Alabama losing to LSU does not help Tennessee in strength of schedule at all. But hey, Tennessee. I would take Tennessee over TCU or Oregon, even though Bo Nix is playing so good right now. But Tennessee, in my mind, is still in the top 4. Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Tennessee.
Well, the only thing that would make me wonder about that would be you're going to take a one-loss team, even though they do have 5 top 25 wins, which is pretty amazing. But you're going to take that team that just lost, and you're going to leave out a Power 5 conference undefeated for 2 teams from the Big Ten and 2 teams from the SEC. You know, that to me is almost crazy if you do, but it makes for a great argument from those other conferences, which they should have made the change when they had the chance last year, but they could have gone to 12 and we wouldn't have this problem.
Well, I'm glad they are, obviously. But, yeah, but, you know, you just – and I love TCU. I love how they're playing. They're scoring, you know, all kinds of points. But you put them in the Big Ten and you put them in the SEC. That's the argument. I don't think they would be undefeated. I mean, if they got to play some of the teams that Tennessee's played, I don't know. You know, Michigan still has got something to prove, and Ohio State's been solid all year. They just kind of
they didn't look so good in the bad weather in Chicago against Northwestern.
Yeah, but did they win?
Yeah.
Was that a win or not?
They did.
Okay, I thought it was.
Right.
It was a win. So and they've won every time that they've stepped out there. So they're still.
So is TCU.
Really.
So is TCU. They won this weekend too.
I know. I'm just saying. I think strength of schedule in terms of conference. And you're trying to get me to get on TCU. I'm not. But I just don't think they're as good as you. If Tennessee and TCU played, who you picking? Yep, that's what I thought. If Michigan and TCU were playing, that's what I thought. So that's where they are right now. But don't think that those guys don't have, you know, play the game and doing that with the CPF. You got to, you know, I just or CFP or whatever it is. The playoffs, they know what they're doing. Come on. They know where the bread's buttered.
So the way you've got it is Tennessee could still well be in the college football playoff mix this particular release tomorrow. What about Alabama and LSU? LSU could still make the playoffs if they win out and beat Georgia in the final game. But they've taken over the Western Division. There's no question about that. They have the tiebreak on Ole Miss. They got the tiebreak on Alabama. And they've only lost the one time, and that was early in the year to Florida State.
Yeah, you know, maybe.
I take that back. They also lost to, what was it, Tennessee? That is their second loss?
Yeah. But my head might have been in the sand, but were they not calling for Brian Kelly's head like a month ago and talking about his accent and that he wasn't the guy and he couldn't do anything? And now He's King Creole down there.
Yeah, exactly.
At LSU. Hey, I tell you what, they got lucky though, and neither one of those teams played well. I mean, Young did not even. He was 25 of 51. I mean, you throw one thing. You throw 51 passes. It's hard to win a game. Alabama does not have the bona fide Waddle or the guy the wide receivers that they've had. They really haven't. But they were in the red zone 5 times. They came out with 15 points. You got to give LSU some credit in that regard. But Bryce Young did not have a good game, and hey, it was tough down there in the Death Valley for that to happen. But it just, the quarterback play again. Daniels, he was the better quarterback in that game, and I would have never thought that would have happened when you got Bryce Young as the opposite quarterback that you could say anybody would be better. But Daniels was a better quarterback in that game and won it, and they got away. It could have gone into another overtime. You never know what's going to happen then. They didn't get the call. The guy pushed him in the back. You could see that on the play, then on the replay, and then they're making a deal of that. Then that shouldn't have been a touchdown. It was it was a definite push in the back by LSU, but. You got to love those referees. I always have. I've always loved them. They're wonderful, wonderful things.
I witnessed a down the field near the tackle box targeting on a blocker.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that.
That I witnessed that today or on Saturday. So you never know what's going to happen.
Well, you got humans judging humans, and that's in recruiting and players, and you get out there and you bet, and you're betting on 20 and 21-year-old guys, and sometimes it doesn't work out like you think it will. That's why we watch.
And Alabama now slips to 10, and they're not going to be in the playoff mix. Another game I want to ask you about was Mississippi State and Auburn. Harsin fired. Cadillac Williams comes in. His antics. I'm not sure he wasn't. I thought he was auditioning to become the chief cheerleader.
Well, it was surprising. I remember playing against or coaching against Cadillac, and he was very active in those days. I mean, he was a great player. Remember when they had he and Ronnie Brown both in the backfield? Yep. I was at Florida, and they beat us in the swamp one night. And but his energy and you use the word, the antics were a little bit surprising. They were not. You know what? If that's him, if that's his style, or if that's Deion, maybe he was competing with Deion. If they're trying to get Deion Sanders down on the plains, but I think the guy that in that game, I mean, Will Rogers was a stud. To talk about, all of that going on.
Yep.
So that was good, and they got a couple of breaks there too. The false start, the missed field goal, both of those could have cost Mississippi State, but I think probably what got Mississippi's or Auburn's attention as much as anything else is what happened in Fayetteville, Arkansas. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go there. Hugh Freeze just signing a guaranteed $40 million 8-year deal to live in the beautiful Virginia Hills without much pressure. Being the head coach at Liberty is clearly going to be the guy that Auburn is going to, I think, go after. I don't see why they wouldn't. I know I hear Lane Kiffin's name in there. I don't know about Lane going there, but I do know that Hugh Freeze is going to be targeted, especially after beating Arkansas this past Saturday. What do you think is going to happen there? You've got a relationship with Hugh Freeze.
Well, yeah, and I worked with Hugh and known Hugh since when Hugh and I both were in Memphis together when he was coaching girls basketball at Briarcrest. But I talked to Hugh last week, and before I talked to you because I knew we were going to talk about the game. But hey, Hugh, in general common sense, yes, that's a lot of money. That's a beautiful place. They're playing good football, all of that. But you know what? That's not why we get in coaching. You get in coaching to play it, and while you're rolling, you're there to play in the biggest game on the biggest stage, and that draws the most attention. You can put a lot of words on that. and why we do it. Are you a competitive freak? Are you an egomaniac? Are you driven to the very, very top of the profession? Hugh has that drive in him. Whatever you can say, whatever that is. So, and I also think he's smart enough and has the best, most powerful agent in the history of history. And I'm sure that there's a piece in his Liberty contract that would allow him to go to Auburn. And so I don't think that story is over with. I don't have any. I'm not saying he's going to Auburn, but I think they'd be crazy not to look at that very, very hard, because Hugh knows what he's doing. And I also think Hugh might be crazy to look at that real hard. But he did say one thing, or a friend of mine this morning sent me a deal from Ole Miss, from his dressing room after. He said, "Hey, I've been up here. I was in the SEC. You may have seen the clip." He said, "I've been up here and never have gotten it done up here." Well, guy told me, he said, Ole Miss beat Arkansas in 2012. So he's twisting the story a little bit there anyway. So he had already won up there. So and I hope Hugh's a friend of mine. I hope he does what makes him happy. That's all, whatever that is. Wow. Going to Auburn, that's going to be a tremendous challenge. And there's like 7,000 ex-coaches and boosters that live in that call shots at Auburn. I don't know how that would be.
I know there's 3 or 4 that really are calling a lot of shots.
No doubt.
On the plains in Auburn. Thank you, John. We appreciate so much, and we'll do this again next Monday.
Looking forward to it. Good talking to you. Take care, man. Thanks for having me.
You too. That's our man, John Thompson. He is coming our way from Atlanta. This portion of the show brought to you by one of the great companies around. It started in 1981 in Sikeston, Missouri. Now there are 133 AmeriCare properties for senior living. And we're talking 3 in Memphis that are special. South Breeze on Hacks Cross, that's in Memphis proper. 1 in Collierville, Schilling Gardens on 15 Schilling Bend Commons, and then 1 in Olive Branch, Olive Grove Terrace, that's right there on Goodman Road. There's a philosophy that they have at AmeriCare, which is about taking care of our senior citizens as they get a little older. If you've got one that you're worried about that needs assisted living, maybe memory care, that's what they specialize in. And they are all about intimate communities. They're wellness. Everybody talks exercise, proper food. Of course, that's very important. Your diet's going to be critical as you age, too, things that you have to avoid, those kinds of things. But where you live is really an important factor by all the new studies that are out there. You want a smaller place where it's easier to make friends, to have fun activities that you can join and feel good about. You don't have to be shy. Sharing good company at the meal times. Feeling right at home. That's what you'll be at home if you go to an AmeriCare property. And again, 3 locations in Memphis. You should check these out. Go visit them. See which is the right one for you and the older person in your family that may need some guidance. That's South Breeze in Memphis, Schilling Gardens in Collierville, and in Olive Branch, it's Olive Grove Terrace. We take a quick timeout. When we come back, the beat writer for the Commercial Appeal and the Memphis Tigers on what might the starting rotation be about this incredible recruiting class, this treasure chest that Penny Hardaway seems to be building. Jason Munns on all of this in just a minute.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
It's the simple things in life we treasure, like a visit to Sunrise on Jefferson, the best breakfast and lunch in Memphis. Just gather your group together and get in line. Order your fresh, delicious food at the counter, take a number, and find a seat. You can sit anywhere in the place you'd like except on other customers' laps. The happy staff at Sunrise will bring you your food. Sit there, enjoy it. When you're done, the staff will clean it all up. Life doesn't have to be complicated. Life can be simple. Life can be Sunrise.
Progressive presents today's to-do list for your cat.
Take a nap, meow till I get food, walk away from food, move to couch, see human, give cold shoulder. Take a nap, meow till I get
Your
food.
Your pet has a very busy schedule, so it's up to you to make sure they're protected. That's why Progressive Car Insurance covers your pets for up to $1,000 if they're ever in a car accident with you.
Move to couch, aggressively clean myself. Take a nap, meow till I get food.
Get coverage for your pets with anti-auto policy from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage for cats and dogs included with the purchase of collision coverage and subject to policy terms.
Memphis Tiger basketball is back at FedEx Forum. Season tickets start at just $99 with a dynamic season pass where you can experience a different seating location for each game. Don't miss a minute of the action this season. See you at FedEx Forum.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
New Monday feature, so glad to have him, the wonderful beat writer for the commercial appeal on the Tigers. That is Jason Munz, who joins us now. First question for you, because I really don't know the answer yet. I probably won't know until Penny tells me in our pregame radio show about an hour before the game. Who will start for Memphis tonight? Is there any word on Demarie Franklin here at the last second?
No, unfortunately for the Tigers and Tiger fans, there's no update on the Demarie Franklin situation. Now, as far as who's going to start, I mean, I think let's just go ahead and knock out Kendrick Davis and DeAndre Williams. Those two are easy. Since Demarie Franklin is not yet eligible, my best guess, honestly, I mean, like it could be. There's just a bunch of different ways that Penny Hardaway could go about this, honestly, because he's got some good depth in the front court with KO and with Malcolm Dandridge and with Chandler Lawson. And, so like you could almost take your pick based on the matchup, right? Like if you feel like you want to go defensive heavy to start off with, you go with KO. If you want to, as Penny keeps saying, you want to punch first. Like on the offensive end, you might go with Malcolm Dandridge. If you want somewhere in between that, you might go with Chandler Lawson. But I would say, like my best guess as we sit here today is probably Kendrick Davis, Keontae Kennedy, Elijah McCadden, DeAndre Williams, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Chandler Lawson just because of the experience factor and because it's maybe it's recency bias. I don't know. He started Chandler in the last exhibition game against Lane, so I'm gonna go with that.
Okay. That I don't have a problem with that. If you do that and you start McCadden and Kennedy, now you've got Alo coming off the bench with Dandridge. You could put Jonathan Lawson in there. Chandler Lawson can flat out rebound. He was the leading rebounder with less minutes, I think, last game. So that makes a lot of sense to me. All right, now I got to talk to you about Memphis recruiting because Penny has hit some more home runs, but that's for next year. This year, you just picked them. You predicted. I think I read this. Sweet 16?
Hey, yeah, you did. The assignment was to make some bold predictions. I was told not to straddle the fence. I was told to be assertive. And the other part of this, kind of peeking behind the curtain, as I was doing the reporting on the Kendrick Davis feature that I wrote last week.
Nice piece, by the way, of his trials and tribulations growing up.
I appreciate that. Yeah, no, so I asked him. I told him, I was like, I got some bold predictions I got to make. What, give me a suggestion. And he said, and first thing out of his mouth is Sweet 16. So I was like, well, I got to trust Kendrick Davis. And like, honestly, I believe it. I mean, and the reason I say that is because Penny Hardaway's teams always play better down the, late in the season. That much we know. Right. I also predicted Memphis to go 16-2 in the conference. So I think that you put that together with the strong non-conference schedule. I think they're going to get into the tournament with a better seed than they did last year, so I don't think their second-round matchup's going to be a Gonzaga again. And I think that's going to increase their odds of getting to the second weekend. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. I mean, you know, I take Kendrick Davis and DeAndre Williams, that combination, over most 1-2 punches in the country. And I think that by the time we get to March, they're gonna really be flexing their muscles.
All right. I hope that you are on the money with that one. That is for sure. Let's talk a little bit about what Penny is doing on the recruiting trail for next season. This year, one true freshman. That's the kid from Spain, Ian Granjo. We have not seen. I don't know what's going on there. Do you with him?
Yeah, there's some injury issues that Memphis wasn't exactly aware of necessarily, and I think part of that was the language barrier. But when he got to campus, there were some physical maladies that needed to be cleared up. I have a hunch that he's going to end up redshirting this year. I think it's at least the plan.
Okay.
So, yeah, may not see him.
All right. So, in what's occurred thus far, there are, if I recall correctly now, I believe 5 different high school recruits. And we know there's 7 new guys this year on the team. 5 that are freshmen for upcoming, which would be a little departure, I think, from this thing about taking transfers and experienced players. Of those 5, you got Mikey Williams, who's a 5-star. You got J.J. Taylor, who's a 4-star. The other kid, Shertrand, is I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. He's a 4-star. You've got this kid that's a 3-star that everybody says is better than that in David Tubick, who Memphis beat out Kansas, Texas, Arizona State, and Creighton amongst the schools vying for his services. And you have Sean Forrest's nephew, the Forrest kid. That's 5 guys. That's all high school. That's different than this year.
It is. But, you know, I mean, Penny loves the spotlight. Like I think he really and truly gets a nice adrenaline rush from that kind of spotlight. And Mikey Williams and J.J. Taylor and those two in particular bring that type of spotlight. Mikey Williams has more than 5 million. He's a 17-year-old high school basketball player who has more than 5 million combined followers on TikTok and Instagram. And that doesn't even count Twitter, which he's like up in the hundreds of thousands there. He brings.
He's what they call a social influence, right? He's literally making millions from his posts.
He is. And not only that, but he has an endorsement deal with Puma, the footwear and apparel company, and he's making millions from that. So, but he also happens to be a very good basketball player. Everybody I talk to says that he is the real deal, that he is very explosive, that he is scoring guard. So, you know, Penny has made another big splash on the recruiting trail, and I just think that, you know, you say it's a departure, but I really think this year was a departure. He's got Musa, 5-star. He got Amani Bates, Jalen Duran, James Wiseman, Preston Chua, Boogie Ellis, DJ Jeffries. Like those, that I think is where Penny prefers to work, and this is just more of the same of that.
Well, Mikey Williams is amazing. I don't know how it works with Puma. Is he allowed to wear those at a Nike school?
Well, I have a feeling that is not going to be the case. I talked to Mikey's dad over the weekend, who told me that he doesn't get involved in that. Excel Sports Management is the agency that Mikey Williams is signed to, and he said that's their job to figure that part out. So I have a feeling that you know, whatever they do, they're going to get it worked out.
I'm pretty sure. All right, last thing, real quick. What happens tonight in Nashville?
I think it's going to be it's probably not going to be too pretty. I think it's going to be a defensive tight struggle. I think Memphis probably wins. I think the prediction that I put at commercialpill.com, I had Memphis winning 66-63. The line on the game is 2.5 points, so that's
pretty good on the money right there. And both teams are really good defensively, so I think that's a darn good pick. Hope you're right. Jason, we thank you so much. We'll do this again next week.
All right, sounds good.
That is our man, Jason Munns from the Commercial Appeal. He's on his way to Nashville, if you could not tell. I will be on my way to Nashville in not too long a time either. Final portion of the show brought to you by Sheldon Rosengarten, Mark Spensdorf. You know, the rising interest rates have made it more difficult for some buyers to buy what they want or for some sellers to rethink all of their pricing. If you're thinking of selling your home, please talk to my guy Sheldon. He'll tell you, talk to 2 or 3 people. Make sure that he's one of them, though, because you'll find out why they always say you want the job done, you call Sheldon. It's a successful strategic marketing program. That's the key. He's been doing this forever. 40, 50 years, he's been doing this. He knows all the fluctuations. He's got the strategy. Other real estate brokers talk to him to get advice. You need to do that, too, and know that that marketing program involves preparation, pricing, and presentation. The 3 Ps. He's got them all to make sure you get the most out of your property. All Ps. All good with Sheldon at Mark Spensdorf. That'll do it for us. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.
I often say they've set the bar for the way car business should be.